To give you an example of this, you'd want to work on a 24 frame per second. Всем привет, how's everyone doing? If you're new here, my name is Elvin, nice to meet you, and I am an accountant with a passion in filmmaking. And this channel is my way to document my journey into the world of filmmaking, and I share with you everything that I find out through tutorials and different experiments. If you're an absolute beginner and you do enjoy my content or would like to learn with me, this is the channel for you. Now, before we jump into today's video, I want to say Happy New Year to each and every one of you. I genuinely wish you all a great year, a lot of health, happiness, fun times, highs, and also I will wish you a lot of mistakes. Because mistakes is the best way for us to learn and to grow as human beings. Today I have for you a basics tutorial in Davinci Resolve. I thought I'll start my year with a new tutorial. And this has been requested by a couple of friends, content creators, both on YouTube and Instagram, as well as my subscribers. This is by far my most favorite editing software. I've been using it for all my YouTube videos, also for client works. And as a person who came from Premiere Pro, I am very happy that I switched to this program, because there are some things in this program that are absolutely brilliant and save you a lot of time. So what can you expect from this whole tutorial, which will most probably be a two-part series? This is the absolute basics. I'm going to show you the absolute essentials that you need in order to edit a video. And the way we're gonna be doing this is we'll first tackle the interface and then we'll actually edit a video. And for maximum understanding, let's imagine that I need to make a YouTube video. So I'm gonna kind of show you my process, and with that also show you the different key features. So if you are into filmmaking or you just want to make a quick video edit just to showcase your traveling to your friends and family, this tutorial is for you. It's going to be super easy, don't worry. However, if you want to know something more specific or go in depth on some topics, do let me know in the comment section below. I'll definitely tailor a video for you. So let's jump into this crash course. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Alright, so I've opened Davinci Resolve, and the first thing that you're always greeted with is the project manager. In this case, it's sort of a welcoming screen that allows you to quickly jump into your project. It basically shows you all the projects that you've been working on in Davinci Resolve, and then you can quickly jump into the one that you need. But very helpful, because you don't need to remember the path or the folder where you saved that project. No matter where it is on your computer, if you have used this project in Davinci Resolve, it will remember it and I'll keep it here. Also, another really cool trick that Davinci Resolve allows you to do is that, let's imagine that you created a project and you forgot to name it. And now multiply it by, let's say, 10, and your window is just full of projects, all called Untitled Project 1 to 10. And now you need to find the one you want to work on. Now, instead of opening every single project to find out which project you want to work on, you can actually scrub through the timeline of each of these projects without leaving the screen. And to do this, just hover your cursor on the thumbnail and just move the cursor from left to right, and it's gonna show you a couple of different frames randomly inside your video, and this way you can easily identify if this is the one you want to work on. Very handy, and don't forget, as soon as you open it, rename it. Trust me, this is the best way to do this, is always name your projects and your content. Now, in our case, we want to open a new project. So all we have to do is simply double click on the untitled project, which has the Davinci Resolve logo. Just double click on it, or you can press open on the bottom, and this way we will open the main interface of Davinci Resolve. Alright, so we are now in our blank project in Davinci Resolve. The whole program opened up, and this whole interface may seem a bit overwhelming, but trust me, it actually isn't. Now, unlike other programs which just kind of shows you everything in one screen and then you just need to kind of manage all the tabs, here what the developers did was they tried to mimic the whole process of making a video. Davinci Resolve takes you through it using windows. Each one of them is dedicated for one of the tasks and gives you the tools to do it. Starting with the first one, you have media. This is where you're going to be importing your videos to the project. Then you have your cut, which allows you to quickly cut or chop up your footage. Honestly, I never really use it. You can do the same thing in the edit, which is where you are meant to then combine and make your video. You add all the things that you need. If you want to use and add some VFX, You can also do this in Davinci Resolve. There is a Fusion tab. This is the VFX engine, so it's like After Effects that you can use in order to make some interesting VFX. Then you go to the Color tab, which allows you to color your video. And let me tell you already that this is by far the biggest place that Davinci Resolve wins over when it comes to competing with other programs, because this program was built to be a color grading software that in the end they also added the features of editing videos in it, and it's still used by Hollywood to color grade movies. Amazing feature, which, trust me, once you go to any other program, you feel like you don't have your hands when you need to actually edit, because it's just so nicely made in this program. So once you finish like color grading and everything, then you go to your audio, you treat your audio, change up some effects, maybe just change some volumes, whatever. You can do this in the edit, which is what I'm going to be showing you, but you can also go to a dedicated workspace for it, which is called Fairlight. So you press on it and it has everything to do with specifically treating audio. And finally, you have Deliver. So this is where you're going to be exporting your videos. You cannot change your video when you're in this workspace, so it's very protected. All you can do is just define how you want to export the video and you just render it. So let's go back to the first icon, which is the media. Let's understand what we see and how we use it. So as you can see, we have this long thick bar on the center of the whole screen. This basically splits the whole screen into two different sections. The top section is responsible for finding the footage on your computer and to preview it, to allow you to search for the ones that you want to import into your project. And the lower part is meant for importing the footage to your project and then also organizing it if you want to. So let me show you how this works. On this top left tab, as you can see, you already have your pathways, and this works very simple. Just go to the folder where you have all your footage, and as you can see, all the contents of the folder is shown to me in this tab right here. Now let's say you have a lot of different videos there. What you can do is you can simply expand this whole tab, and to do this, very simple, you have here a little box with an arrow down. It's called expand. Press on it and it basically occupies the whole left side of your screen. Now if you don't need it, press on it again and this icon changes and it's called shrink. Press on it and it shrinks it. You actually have the same button on the right side and it's right here. Right now it's deactivated because you don't have anything open except for the preview pane, but if I actually open one of these tabs, which we are not going to go through in this video because there's no need, then you can expand it if you want to. Now as you can see, to turn it off, you just need to press on the tab itself. So right now they are all grayed out, and this means that the tab is closed. Once you press on it, it glows and remains white, and the tab is visible. So in this case, I'm going to press on it and it closes. It is a very nice, convenient way, at least for me, I'm used to it, to be able to manage your tabs. Instead of having all these tabs all over the place, they're kind of locked in one place, but you can just open and close whenever you need them. For me, it's very convenient. Basically, from the interface here, there's nothing else that you really need to know from the top part. So let's move on to our preview pane and also our content. The cool feature about Davinci Resolve is that you can literally preview any file just by looking at the thumbnails. I absolutely love this feature. I've already showed you how to do this in the project manager, and it works the same way also here. So if I just hover my cursor on the video itself, it's just gonna be showing me the whole video. So I can quickly just scrub through it and find out if this is the clip I wanna use. If it's a bit too small, no problem. Just double click on it and it's gonna be shown on your preview screen. And once you see it here, then you can just press play and it's gonna start playing the whole video. You can stop it. You can play it backwards if you want, just this play reverse button. And if you want to jump to the first frame or the last frame, super easy as well. This button right here is go to first frame, and then the other one is go to the last frame. This one is loop. Honestly, I never really used it, but the idea is that once the video finishes, it just starts playing it again. You can mute your audio if you don't want it. So press on here, and then this button right here, trust me, you'll never use it. Now with this basically covered, let's go down. Let's see the media pool. So this is, like I said, is a place where you are going to be importing your footage. So to import footage, it's very, very simple. There's two ways you can do it. You can do it through the media tab just by And we are back. I am very sorry for this fail, my battery ran out. Literally, I forgot how to make YouTube videos. Well, day 2 of filming, let's get right into it. So once you select all your footage and you drag it over into your media pool, most probably you'll see this message right here that asks you whether you want to change the project frame rate. This happens when Davinci Resolve notices that the frame rate of your project is different from the footage that you are trying to import. To give you an example of this, you'd want to work on a 24 frame per second. Alright, so what you have just witnessed is me losing power in the whole apartment. So I'm actually recording this 3 hours later after the incident. And yeah, it is really proving difficult to make this tutorial. Let's continue from where we stopped, and we were talking about the frame rates. So it's not something that is very important right now for beginners, but basically the idea is that sometimes you would want to work on a timeline that has a different frame rate than what you have shot your videos in. Now, it's important to remember that as soon as you put your footage into your timeline, you can no longer change the frame rate of your timeline. So it is important for you to, whenever you start a new project, go to your project settings, define everything as you want, and then start working. Because you will not be able to change it, and also when you want to export it, it will always export it as per the frame rate that you have on your timeline. And to do this, it's very simple. Just go to File, Project Settings, and in the master settings, you will then see all the timeline formatting that you can then change. In this case, as you can see, the timeline frame rate is 50, playback is also 50, so this is the footage that I have. It's all at 50 frames per second, which is the US 60. Now, right now, you can change it, because we did not yet add footage into our timeline. In this case, I'm happy with how it is, so I will not do anything here. Let's press cancel, and let's now move to the next workstation, which is cut. So the next session will be super simple and super fast because we are basically cutting this whole workstation out of our tutorial. There is no need really to cover it because you can do all your cutting of your footage in the edit section. This is something that I've been doing since the beginning, and a lot of tutorials that I see online in YouTube also kind of omit this section because you can do everything in the edit section. So let's go right into there. And as you can see, again, the interface is completely different and is made specifically for you to be able to edit your videos. So as you can see, there's a similar trend as with all the other tabs or workspaces where the whole interface is split essentially into like a top half and a bottom half. And the center is your preview screen. Right now there's nothing here. And then on the bottom you have your timeline. And then on the side, you have a couple of tabs that you can turn on and off depending on your needs. So let's quickly run through all of them from left to right so we can have a better idea of how it works. So on your left side, right now we have 2 tabs open. And you know that these tabs open because, as I mentioned before, we have here your tab list, and then you have the 2 of them highlighted in white. So you have your media pool, which is the top one, and then you have your effects on the bottom. And the reason why you see both of them at the same time is because if you remember this expand button, it's currently on, and this little button means shrink. So if I press on it, then it will hide the effects and you will see the media pool. Now, generally what I noticed is that if you have media and the effects tool open, you'll always have media tool on the top and then you have the effects on the bottom. Even no matter how you press it, like if you press effects first and then your media will always be the first one on top. Now, it is very handy for you to use this expand tool if you want to see better your footage or the effects. So in this case, for instance, it's nice and compact and we have more space for our timeline on the bottom. However, if I need to find the tracks, I can just press on the expand and now the whole left screen is just simply my media pool. Now, looking at the top sections right here, because we're going to be ignoring this edit, index and sound library because for beginners you don't need it. I never used it, to be honest. So let's look at what we have on the bottom underneath the tabs themselves. So we have a couple of different icons. The first one here is this little toggle. What it does is it toggles either a folders or bins. So for instance, in media pool, it is a smart bin, which allows you to just cycle through the different folders where you have your footage. I think I forgot to show you that one. Let's quickly go to the media tab, and it's very simple. All you have to do is just select a clip or clips, right click, create a bin with selected clips. Press on it and it'll create a bin. Then you can double click and then just call it, let's let's say, oh, it's already called bin 1, whatever. And then once you press on the master, you will see everything that is not in a bin and then the one in a bin, which is a folder basically. And when we go back to our edit, you will see the bin and also the clips. But you can just double click on this one to see what's inside, or you can go back and just use this toggle, like you toggle it, press on the bin, and you'll see only the clips inside. But the only kind of disadvantage of using this is because if you don't have the tab open, you'll need to use this little small arrows right here, and then you press on it to go back. Not really convenient, so it's better to just press on this little icon here, open your folder, and then use your bin. So right beside it we have is these 3 dots. They do nothing really. So let's skip to the next one, which is this one, the slider. But basically what it does, it changes the size of your thumbnails. Once you have bigger thumbnails, as I mentioned before in our project manager in the beginning, you can just scrub quickly through the video to make sure that this is the one that you want to add to your timeline. Very handy. And then if you want to see everything at the same time, you can always go smaller, and you can scrub as well. Now you can also control how these clips in your media pool are seen. Right now they are in thumbnail mode. Then you have a list mode, which just shows them as a list, and it has some extra information here that you can just see with like a slider on the bottom here. It's all the information you want. Or you can have a mix of two. So if you press on the one called metadata view, it will show you the thumbnail, and also it's gonna give you like key information, like the key metadata of the clip. Honestly, I always use the thumbnail view, like it's the one that is by default, and it works perfectly for me. Now let's move to the next one, which is the search. Super simple. Press on it, and you can type and search for the clip that you're searching for. And then you have your sort. So when you press on it, you can then just define how you want to sort the view of your footage. And then you have these 3 dots, not important, a couple of things there, but not important for beginner class. Now, the effects tab, now as you can see, it popped up on the bottom. So now let's just remove our media pool just so we can see the whole effects tab. Like I said, when you are searching for effects, because right now we don't have a lot, but if I go to, let's say, our open effects, let's try this one, you have a lot of them, so it's very handy to just see them all in a bigger list. Now you have this little icon right here as well, so when you press on it, it basically hides that folder list. And then the only thing you have also left is just the search. Very handy, press on it, and then you can search for whatever effect you want. So let's say I'm gonna write smear, and there it is right here. Now let's remove our effects, and let's shrink our media pool because we want to see our timeline really nice and big. Let's move on to the centerpiece, which is our preview screen. Now this screen is right now completely blank because there is no videos in our timeline, but once we import a video, and we can just drag and drop, let's put it from the beginning. And now you see my face in this preview screen. Now the couple of important things that you want to know about the screen is, of course, you have on the bottom here your controls. It's basically the same controls as in our media tab, and you have also here a little button that says fit. So when you press on it, you can define how big or small your screen is. So for instance, it could be 6%, you can put it at 300%. Oh god, look at this mustache. And you can just press fit. Now to change this, you can also do it by using your mouse wheel, and if you just scroll your mouse wheel with the cursor on the video itself, you'll be able to zoom in and zoom out. If it's zoomed in and you press Ctrl, you'll be able to move it up and down. So it's also a very handy way to just kind of work around and find ways to better fit the preview screen within your screen limitations, so to speak. Now when you play your clips, you will be able to also see your FPS right here. So it's right now at 50. So if you see a very big drop in it, it means that most probably your computer is struggling to process the video. Then there's this little cool button right here. Looks very shiny, the only shiniest button that you find in the whole interface. And this is a button that is very, very handy because what it does, it bypasses, as it says, color grades and fusion effects, meaning it turns off everything. The more you're gonna put effects and text and colors and so on and so forth, it's gonna slow down your system. At some point, it will just not be able to even preview what you're doing. So it makes it hard if you need to make some adjustments within your clip. So by just bypassing it and you just press on it, it will turn off all the color grades, all the effects, all the text effects as well, just to allow you to just play back your footage. Sometimes it is a lifesaver. Let's put it back on because we don't have anything right now. And then we go to our right side, which has 3 different tabs. In fact, there is one tab which is called Mixer, which is on the bottom, but the other 2, Inspector and the metadata, are in this area right here. Once again, if you want to, you can expand them. So you just press on the expand and it covers the whole right side. Same goes for the inspector and the metadata. Between the 2, you're going to be using always the inspector. This is the best tab ever. It's going to be always on for you. Let me actually turn off the mixer. This is helpful when you're working with audio. Right now we're not going to be doing it, so let's turn it off. So inspector, this is where you're going to be doing all the changes with your clips. So for instance, right now it is in audio. Everything is grayed out because there's only audio. So in this track, you can change your volume, your pan, your pitch, your equalizer. We'll go a little bit in detail and you'll see how it works while we're editing. So this is what I like about it, is because you have this one tab where you have everything together. And then if you're adding any effects, you can also change the effects in this specific separate tab. If you're adding transitions, you have a transition one. If you're adding any images, you have an image one. So everything happens in this section right here, and depending on what type of footage it is, be it audio, be it video, be it a picture, be it a text, every different kind of parameter will all be modifiable in this tab right here. It's nice, it's neat, and it's all on the right side. I absolutely love it. So we're going to be looking at more in depth about it once we're going to be editing it. So this way I don't spam you with all the information right now. It makes more sense once we are actually applying it while editing. So let's now go to our timeline. First of all, on your left side, you have your tracks. You have right now video 1 and audio 2. And then if you add another clip on top of it, then you have video 2 and audio 2. Here you have a couple of different buttons. You have your lock. This will lock the whole track, so you'll not be able to change the position of it, and also you will not be able to even edit it. So it completely locks it, and it's handy when you don't want to accidentally do anything to that clip. Then you have also this auto track selector. I'll be honest, I do not know what it does, but the one important is the next one, which is a disable video track. Once you press on it, it completely disables this whole track, and then each one of them has the same parameters. In the audio, you have also your lock, you have your auto track selector, it's still there, and then you have your solo and your mute buttons. So the solo, if you don't know, it will only play that track. Even if you are playing the whole timeline and you have a lot of different sounds, it will only play that specific track, and mute will turn that audio off completely. Moving on to the top, on your very left side, you can actually define how you want to see your timeline. So when you press on it, here we have like a bunch of different options. Press on them, see what you like, what you prefer to see, and then just work from there. And also this line right here that separates the audio and the video, it also can be changed, so you can move it around to see more audio, more video. And you can do the same thing by pressing on here right above this ruler. And if you click and hold, you can drag the whole lower section up and down. Now we move to the most important buttons, which are right above the timeline. As you can see, this one is in red. This means it's selected, and this is a selection tool. So this is basically the cursor that allows us to select our clips. Then we have this one that's called a trim edit mode, and this is a very handy tool to do a couple of very tricky and interesting editing techniques, which really save time when you're trying to edit. Let's say we're editing and I realize that I accidentally cut out a little bit too much of my video and I need to extend it. Now what I can do is I can just take this whole clip, let's say, I can then go up, I can then extend it, and then I will have to select this second clip and then move it to adjust it. Too many clicks on your mouse. The point here is to be as efficient as possible, right? Let's go back. What you can do is you can press on this trim edit mode, and now right at the edge of your clip you have this little weird little icon. Just press right at the end, and now you can move the whole timeline to your left while extending your clip. Now if you're worried that, hey, my video is moving but my audio is not moving, this is because we are not working in a linked mode. So as you can see, at every different clip there is this little link icon. What this means is that this audio and video tracks are linked, and when you have them linked, that means that there is a possibility for you to work on them and edit them as one whole let's say entity, you know. So here you have a little button called linked selection. Press on it, And now once it's selected and it's white, now I can actually, let's go back to selection, I can now move these two together at the same time. So now when I select it, they are always selected together. And now when I move them, they will be moving together. Compared to if I turn it off, then I can just select one or the other. So once I press on it and I have it working, let's put it back. Now if I go to our trim mode and I will press at the end and I start moving, as you can see, now both the audio and the video tracks are extending, and at the same time it's pushing everything to the left. Very handy when you need to extend and make some corrections. Now another really cool trick is, let's say that this size of the clip is enough for me. So let's say I've already edited my video, it's according to the beat, you know, everything's really cool, but I made a mistake and the video does not start from the point that I need to. But at the same time, I do not want to take out this video, change it, rearrange it, and potentially remove the size of the clips that I already predefined. So what I can do is, without changing the position or the size of this clip, I can still track. It's called actually I think it's called a slip edit. So you can just move within the whole track. So how you do it is you still use your trim edit mode. You go and you press somewhere where you have this image itself, then you press on it, and now you can just move and you can just select which part of the video you want your video to start from, and it all happens within that same range. And you can see how the whole clip moves around, so it gives you also an indicator of how long the clip is. Now this one also has a couple of different cheeky edits that you can make, but honestly too complicated for this beginner course, so you can just look it up or just let me know in the comment section below if you want me to go into detail about it. But the next one that you will definitely be using is this cut tool. Well, actually it's called a blade, which makes sense because it's a blade. So let's turn this one off, and yeah, super straightforward. Just hover wherever you need and you cut it. Now it is important for you to remember the relationships between cuts and also the link. So in this case, because you have a link, these tracks, the video and the audio, works as one. So when you cut, you will cut both. However, if you go and you deselect it, now you will only be able to cut the video or the audio track. Then we have these next three icons. They are all about adding videos to your timeline. So the first one is called a insert clip. Basically all it does is inserts the video after your playhead. So for instance, if I put the playhead, let's say over here, right? I need to select a media clip. Let's say it's this intro. And then I will press on this one, and all it does, it inserts the clip right after my playhead. It will actually split the existing video into two and put it right in between. The next one is overwrite, and then after this is replace. Both of them replace a clip, but the difference between that is that the overwrite will completely overwrite the existing clip after the playhead with the new clip, and the replace will only replace the first clip until the end of it after the playhead. So to make a better example of this one, let's for instance go back to the beginning of this video, and I'm going to replace this with this intro VS as well. So I'm going to select it over in the media pool, and I'm going to press overwrite. And as you can see, it completely replaces the first clip, goes over to the second clip, and then ends wherever it ends. And then you have a part of the second clip, also the original one, still left in the timeline. However, if I go back to where it was, and then I'm gonna press the replace, it's gonna replace only the first clip until the end of that clip, not touching the second one. So both of them are very handy in their own situations based on what you need to do when you're editing. So then what we have is our snapping tool, and what it allows you to do is quickly have the clips snap together. It's very handy when you're trying to build your timeline. So for instance, when I have the clip over here, once I slowly move it towards the other clip, you will see that it just kind of snaps to it. This way you will avoid having any blank lines in between, which can happen if you are using in a free mode, which means, for instance, if I turn this off, then I can just freely move it around wherever I want, and I can go as close as I can to this other clip, but at the same time having a gap. And it's also very handy when, for instance, you want to add a bit of text on top and you want it to start exactly where the clip starts, so you can just snap it right above it. Or for instance, our audio, let's say I have this music, so if I wanted to start exactly when the second clip starts, it's very simple, just move it and it's gonna snap exactly on that line. So afterwards, we already spoke about link. Then we have this lock. So this position lock will lock every single track in your timeline. So if I press it, I cannot move none of them. Not the first audio track, not the second, not the third. Whereas on the side, you can individually define which track you want to lock. Just press on it and it unlocks. And then you have a flag and a marker tool. If you press on this little arrow, it gives you like a different colors, and it allows you to basically add some kind of notes or make like specific markings of positions within your timeline or your clip. So both. So for example, if I don't have anything selected and I want to make a note here that I should change music, so I can press on our little mark tool and it'll put a mark right on the timeline. I'm gonna press, double click on it, and then I can write here, change music, and I can put another color, done. But let's say that I want to change music specifically on this part of my video. So now what I can do, I can select this clip, press on the marker, and it puts a marker right on that clip. So now I can just double click on it and put here, change music. Put the red again, done. And it also puts it on the audio track as well. And this is because they are linked together. Now you also have flags that you can also use as notes. So if you select a clip specific one, you can just press on flag, it'll show up at the end, and then you can just double click on it and add some notes. Out of the two, I would say markers is the most useful one because you can mark either timeline or the clip itself, and you can put a marker at any point in the clip rather than the flags, which kind of puts it at the end for some reason. Or maybe I'm not doing right, which is also possible, but just go with the markers, it's much better. And then in the end, you have here these little rulers with magnifying glasses, and all of them basically define the zooming on your timeline. So if you press on them, as you can see, it just changes a couple of different ways of seeing it. Honestly, I never really use them. And then you have this whole magnification that you can just slide and kind of move it around. Again, I don't use it, and the reason why I don't use it is because I use my keyboard and mouse for this. So if I press and hold Alt and then I scroll my wheel, forwards will zoom in and backwards will zoom out. And it always scroll where your playhead is. So first define your playhead and then start moving and zooming into that location. Now if I want to move horizontally along my timeline, just press and hold Ctrl, and then you can just use your mouse wheel as well. For me, this is the more intuitive way of using a timeline, and when you're working and you're pressing different shortcuts, it's just much easier than having to click on these little buttons. And then on your left side you have your sound, so you can mute your whole timeline, or you can just remove the audio volume if you want to. And then there's this little button called dim. When you want to just kind of overall lower the volume without having to use this slider, just press on it and it'll just lower down the volume for you. And this basically sums up the introduction of the editing interface. I know it's quite long, but it is important for you to understand it because this is where you're going to spending most of your time. In the next session, we are going to start editing, doing some light editing in order for you to see how we can use all these tools in a more practical situation, and we'll dive in deeper into the inspector tab, which is going to be your go-to place for everything. And we're going to be also looking at color and exporting the video. I hope you found it interesting so far and informative. Do let me know what you think in the comment section below and your suggestions. See you in the next one. Пока!